I stood there in the hotel lobby, watching my own children walk away laughing toward the elevator without a single glance back. Monica, my daughter-in-law, had said something about finally being free of the burden, and they had all laughed. They didn't know I had heard every word. They didn't know I had paid for every cent of that reservation with the money I saved for 8 months, selling my pies on Sundays in the town square and stashing coin after coin in a cookie tin I hid behind the canned beans. They also didn't know what I was about to do. But let's go back to the beginning, because it all started 3 weeks earlier, on a Tuesday afternoon when the sun was warm through my kitchen window. I was preparing my afternoon coffee, just like every day since I became a widow 4 years ago, when my phone rang. It was my eldest son, Raphael, with that sweet voice he used when he needed something. "Mom, I have a wonderful idea," he said. And I felt that familiar flutter in my chest that always came when my children included me in their plans. "What do you think about us taking a family trip for the holidays, all together, like in the good old days?" His voice sounded so excited that I could almost see his smile through the phone. "I found a beautiful hotel on the coast, pools, restaurants, activities for the kids. It would be perfect, Mom." I set the coffee pot on the counter, feeling my eyes fill with tears of joy. It had been so long since I felt included, since I had been invited to anything more than a family dinner where I sat quietly while they talked about their jobs, their trips, their plans. I was always the one who served, who cleared the dishes, who stayed in the kitchen while everyone else went into the living room. "That sounds wonderful, son," I replied, trying to keep my voice from cracking. "When would it be?" "The first week of January. 7 days, Mom. Imagine all of us, me, Monica, Diego, and Anna, the grandkids, and you, of course, like one big, happy family." He paused and then added, "There's just one small detail, Mom. The hotel requires a single person to make the reservation. Could you take care of it? We'll transfer you the money afterward." Of course, it was always like this. I was the one who put my name on the line, who made the guarantee, who handled the paperwork while they had all the fun. But this time, I didn't mind. It was a chance to do something special for my family, to show them how much I loved them. "Of course, son, you can count on me." That same afternoon, I called the hotel. The receptionist had a kind, professional voice. "Golden Palms Hotel, how can I help you?" "I'd like to make a reservation for 12 people, I said, feeling my heart race. I had never organized anything so big before. "Perfect, ma'am. For what dates?" "From January 2nd to the 9th. I heard the clicking of her keyboard. "All right. That would be 5 family suites, all inclusive, with access to all activities. The total would be $4,200. I stopped breathing. $4,200. My pension was $800 a month. I had saved $800 selling pies for 8 months. I didn't have enough. "Ma'am, are you there?" Yes, I'm sorry. Can I confirm the reservation and pay later?" "We need a 50% deposit to confirm, ma'am. $2,100. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in my rocking chair, calculating and recalculating. I had $50 in cash, some savings I had set aside for emergencies, and my wedding ring. The ring my husband had given me 42 years ago, with a small diamond that sparkled when the light hit it. The next day, I went to the downtown jewelry store. Mr. Jenkins, the owner, was an older man who knew my whole family. "Estella, how are you?" "I'm doing well, Mr. Jenkins. I came to ask what you'd give me for this ring." He examined it with his loupe, turning it between his wrinkled fingers. "It's a nice piece, Estella. I can give you $800. I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. $800 for 42 years of marriage. But I thought about Raphael's smile, about the chance to have my whole family together and happy. It's a deal. With the money from the ring and my savings, I called the hotel that same afternoon and paid the deposit. The reservation was confirmed in my name, with my credit card as a guarantee, 5 family suites, 12 people, 7 days, all inclusive. Over the next few weeks, every time I spoke with Raphael or Diego, they asked me about the trip details but never mentioned the money. "We'll talk about that later," they would say. "The important thing is that we're all together." I continued to sell pies on Sundays, doing sewing jobs for my neighbors, saving every dollar I could to cover the final payment. My house became colder because I turned down the heat, I ate less meat, and I walked instead of taking the bus, all for that perfect family trip. 3 days before the trip, Raphael called me excitedly. "Mom, you don't know how much we're looking forward to these days. The kids are super excited. Monica already has everything packed. How are the hotel preparations?" "Everything's ready, son. Just the final payment left." "Oh yeah, of course. Well, we'll figure that out when we get there. The important thing is we have fun." The night before the trip, I finished paying for the reservation in full with my credit card, $2,100. My wedding ring, all my savings, plus the debt left on my card. But it was worth it. I was going to have 7 perfect days with my family. I had no idea what I was about to discover. The morning of the trip, I woke up before sunrise. I had packed my suitcase the night before, carefully folding each item, choosing my best dresses, the pearl necklace that was my mother's, and my comfortable walking shoes for the beach. I felt like a child before Christmas. It had been so long since I had something to look forward to with so much excitement. Raphael was supposed to pick me up at 7 a.m. We had planned to travel all together in 2 cars to the hotel, which was a 3-hour drive away. I put on my light blue dress, the one Diego always said made me look younger, and carefully put on some makeup. I wanted to look good for the family photos we would surely take. At 7:30, Raphael honked from the street. I grabbed my suitcase, locked the door, and walked to the car with a smile I couldn't wipe off my face. In the passenger seat, Monica, my daughter-in-law, was looking at her phone. In the back, my 2 youngest grandkids were playing on a tablet. "Good morning, family," I said as I got into the car, but only the kids replied with a "Hi, Grandma." Distracted, Monica barely looked up for a second and mumbled something that sounded like a greeting. Raphael started the engine. "Are you ready for a perfect family vacation?" I asked, trying to start a cheerful conversation. "Yes, Mom," Raphael replied, but his voice sounded tired. "Monica, did you text Anna so they can follow us? They've already left. Diego drives like a turtle, so we'll probably get there before them," Monica answered without looking up from her phone. During the drive, I tried to talk several times. I asked them about Raphael's work, about their plans for the hotel, about whether the kids knew how to swim. The answers were monosyllabic, sighs and half smiles that quickly faded. Monica kept texting, and every now and then she laughed at something she read on her screen. "Is it very funny?" I asked once, trying to be part of whatever was keeping her so entertained. "It's my friend's group chat," she answered without looking at me. "Things you wouldn't understand." I was quiet after that, staring out the window at the passing fields, the small houses, the trees that were just beginning to change color. I thought about all the pies I had sold to pay for this trip, about the nights I had stayed up sewing to earn a few extra dollars, about my wedding ring, which was now in a jewelry store's safe. When we arrived at the hotel, my breath caught in my throat. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined from the photos online. Tall palm trees swayed in the ocean breeze. The gardens were perfectly manicured with flowers of every color. The white facade of the building gleamed under the midday sun. The entrance had water fountains that made a relaxing sound, and I could hear the ocean in the distance. "What a beautiful place!" I exclaimed, feeling my chest swell with happiness. "I can't believe we're here." The kids jumped out of the car, excited, and ran toward the entrance. Raphael and Monica began to take the suitcases out of the trunk. At that moment, the second car arrived with Diego, Anna, and the rest of the family. My 17-year-old granddaughter, Mariana, was the only one who came to hug me. "Grandma, this place is incredible," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "Did you see the pool? It's huge, and they say they have nightly activities and themed restaurants." "I know, honey. It's going to be a wonderful week," I replied, stroking her hair. At least someone shared my enthusiasm. We all went into the lobby, and I headed to the reception desk. It was a spacious and elegant area with marble floors that reflected the light from the crystal lamps, white leather sofas, and tropical plants in huge pots. The air smelled of fresh flowers and ocean breeze. "Good morning," I said to the receptionist, a young woman with a kind smile. "I have a reservation under the name Estella Williams." She typed on her computer and smiled. "Of course, Mrs. Williams. We were expecting you. 5 family suites, 7 nights, all inclusive for 12 people. Everything is in order." While she was preparing the keys and explaining the hotel services, I heard my sons talking quietly behind me. "5 suites," I heard Diego whisper to Rafael. "I thought you said it would be simpler." "Mom organized everything," Rafael replied. "We'll figure out how to split the costs later." The receptionist handed me the keys on elegant keychains shaped like a palm tree. "The suites are on the 3rd floor, all with an ocean view. Breakfast is served from 6 to 10 a.m. in the main restaurant, lunch from 12 to 3 p.m., and dinner from 6 to 10 p.m. You also have full access to the spa, the pools, sports activities, and nightly entertainment." "How wonderful!" I exclaimed, feeling my heart beat with excitement. "Did you hear that, kids? We have access to everything." But when I turned around to share my joy with the family, I froze. There was no one there. Rafael, Diego, Monica, Ana, and all the grandkids had disappeared. Only Mariana was left, looking at me with a strange expression on her face. "Where did everyone go?" I asked, feeling my stomach drop. "They went to the elevators," she replied, biting her lower lip. "Dad said they were going to get settled in the rooms and that we would meet up later." Without waiting for me, without the keys, Mariana didn't answer, but I could see in her eyes that she wasn't telling me something. We walked to the elevator area, but there was no sign of the family. We went up to the 3rd floor and walked down the hallway, looking for them, but it was as if they had vanished. "Mariana, what is going on here?" I asked, my voice trembling. She sighed and took out her phone. "Grandma, there's something you need to know. They're in the family group chat and—" She stopped, as if it was hard for her to continue. "What group chat?" "The one Dad, Uncle Rafael, Mom, and Aunt Monica made. It's called Drama-Free Vacation." Her voice became softer. "Grandma, they didn't want you to come on the trip." I felt as if the marble floor was shifting under my feet. "What do you mean they didn't want me to come? But Rafael invited me. He asked me to organize everything." Mariana showed me her phone with trembling hands. On the screen, I could see the group chat. The most recent messages said things that broke my heart into pieces. "We've arrived. The old lady took care of everything, as usual. Perfect. Now we can enjoy ourselves without her watching us all the time. Did you see how excited she was at reception? How embarrassing. Well, at least she's useful for something. Let her stay in her room watching TV while we take advantage of everything." The words blurred in front of my eyes. I felt tears welling up, my throat closing. $2,100, my wedding ring, 8 months of work, all so they could enjoy themselves, drama-free, without me. "Grandma?" Mariana's voice sounded far away. "Grandma? Are you okay?" No, I wasn't okay, but I wasn't defeated either. I stood there in the hotel hallway with the 5 keys hanging from my trembling fingers while Mariana looked at me with tear-filled eyes. The messages from the group chat kept coming on her phone, each one like a dagger to my heart. I hope she doesn't get all pushy about family dinners. Don't worry, Monica. If she gets too annoying, we'll just tell her she looks tired and that she should go rest. The important thing is that the kids have fun. She can do her own thing. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The hallway smelled of cleanliness and fresh flowers, but all I could taste was the bitter flavor of humiliation in my mouth. For 40 years, I had raised those children. I had sacrificed my dreams for theirs. I had sold my wedding ring to give them this perfect vacation, and this was how they repaid me. "Mariana," I said with a voice I didn't recognize, "how long has that group chat existed?" She looked at her phone, scrolling up to see older messages. Since Uncle Rafael suggested the trip, Grandma. Look, here it says he created it the same day he called you." My granddaughter showed me the screen. There it was, clear as day. Group created on December 12th by Rafael Carter. the same day my son had called me with his sweet voice to invite me on the family trip of my dreams. I continued to read the older messages, each one worse than the last. I already talked to Mom. She fell for the whole story. She's sure she'll be able to organize it. You know how she is with technology. It doesn't matter. If she messes up, we'll fix it. The important thing is, she pays. Great. A free vacation with no family drama. Just so we're clear, no all-together activities, everyone for themselves. The words became blurry from the tears I could no longer hold back. But there was something else, more recent messages that made me understand the magnitude of their betrayal. Did you confirm that the hotel allows changes to the reservation? Yeah. Diego asked at reception. Since it's under Mom's name, she can make changes. Perfect. Tomorrow we'll convince her to transfer the rooms to our names just in case. And on the last day, we'll tell her there was a billing error and that the hotel needs someone else to take care of the payment. There it was. Not only had they planned to ignore me during the trip, but they also intended to leave me with the entire debt at the end. They had used me to organize and pay for their perfect vacation, and then they planned to abandon me with the bill. Grandma, Mariana gently touched my arm. What are you going to do? That question echoed in my mind. What was I going to do? The old Estella would have cried in silence, swallowed the humiliation, and pretended she hadn't seen anything. She would have spent the 7 days locked in her room, ordering room service so as not to bother the family in the restaurants, watching TV while they enjoyed the pool, the spa, and the nightly activities that I had paid for. But something had changed inside me. Maybe it was seeing my wedding ring disappear into the jeweler's hands. Or maybe it was those 8 months of waking up before sunrise to make pies and sell them in the town square. Maybe it was the realization that my own children saw me as a walking wallet, useful for paying and organizing, but a nuisance to include. I don't know yet, honey, I replied to Mariana, wiping my tears with the back of my hand, but I'm not going to stand here and cry. We walked to my suite. It was beautiful, with a king-size bed covered in pristine white sheets, a balcony with a direct ocean view, and a marble bathroom with a deep tub, everything I had dreamed of for months while saving every cent. But now it felt empty, like a stage set for a play where I was just the financier, not the star. I sat on the bed, and Mariana stood by the window, looking out at the beach where I could already see some family members. Rafael and Diego were in the pool with their kids. Monica and Anna were having cocktails under an umbrella. They were all laughing and enjoying themselves as if nothing had happened. You know what hurts the most? I said to Mariana. It's not the money, or even the fact that they lied to me. It's that I thought we were finally going to be a real family, that we were going to make beautiful memories together. Mariana turned around, and I saw that her eyes were red. Grandma, I tried to tell them it was wrong. When Dad added me to the group, I told them it wasn't fair to you, but they said I didn't understand, that sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions. Difficult decisions. That's what I was to them, a difficult decision. At that moment, my phone rang. It was a message from Rafael. Mom, we've settled in. We're going to have lunch at the beach restaurant. If you want, you can order room service. See you at dinner. Liars. I knew perfectly well they had planned to have lunch without me, but this time, instead of feeling hurt, I smiled. Tell your dad thank you very much, but I have other plans. And I wasn't lying. I did have other plans. Plans that were taking shape in my mind with a clarity that surprised me. That afternoon, while my family enjoyed the beach with the money I had paid, I was busy making some very important calls. First stop, my bank. Second stop, the hotel reception. Third stop, my lawyer. Because if my children thought they were going to play games with me, they were very wrong. The game had just begun, and this time, I had all the cards. That afternoon, while my family had fun on the beach, believing they had found the perfect formula for a free vacation, I was in my room executing my own plan. I had learned over 65 years that patience is the most powerful weapon a woman can have, especially when she is underestimated. My first call was to the bank. After navigating a maze of automated options and waiting for 20 minutes, I finally managed to speak with a human representative. National Bank, this is Carmen speaking. How can I help you? Good morning, Carmen. My name is Estella Williams. I need to report a possible fraud attempt on my credit card. Of course, Mrs. Williams. Can you provide me with your card number and date of birth to verify your identity? After confirming my information, I explained the situation, choosing every word carefully. Carmen, I have reason to believe that a family member is going to try to dispute legitimate charges that I made on my card, specifically a hotel reservation for $4,200 that I personally authorized and paid for. I understand your concern, Mrs. Williams. Do you have any evidence of this potential fraudulent dispute? Yes. I have all the reservation documents, payment confirmations, and witnesses who can corroborate that I authorized all the expenses. Furthermore, my granddaughter heard my son on the phone today talking about disputing these charges. Carmen made a note of everything and explained the procedure. I'm going to place a protection note on your account, Mrs. Williams. If anyone tries to dispute these charges, an automatic investigation will be triggered, which will require substantial evidence of actual fraud. And in the meantime, the charges will remain valid until proven otherwise. I'm also going to email you a form to document everything related to this potential family fraud attempt. After hanging up with the bank, I felt as though I had won the first battle of a war that had just begun, but I needed more ammunition. My second call was to the hotel reception. Good afternoon. Could I please speak with the manager? 5 minutes later, a man with a kind voice introduced himself. Mrs. Williams, I'm Miguel Anderson, the hotel manager. The receptionist tells me you wanted to speak with me. Yes, Mr. Anderson. I have a delicate family situation, and I need to make sure certain information is officially registered. I explained that I had paid for the full reservation as a surprise for my family, but had discovered they planned to dispute the charges fraudulently. I understand perfectly, Mrs. Williams. Unfortunately, this is not the first time we've seen these family situations. What would you like us to do? First, I need you to confirm in writing that I am the only holder of the reservation and that I paid for everything voluntarily. Second, if anyone in my family tries to make changes without my presence, I want you to contact me immediately. Of course, ma'am. I will send an official letter confirming all the details of your reservation and payment. I am also going to instruct all the reception staff about the situation. One more thing, Mr. Anderson. Would it be possible to schedule a meeting for tomorrow morning? I think I might need to make some changes to the reservation. Of course. Is 9 a.m. a good time for you? Perfect. My third call was the most important. I found the number for Mr. Jenkins, the lawyer who had helped my husband with his will and had handled some minor family matters over the years. Jenkins and Associates, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is Mr. Jenkins in? This is Estella Williams. Mrs. Williams, it's a pleasure to hear from you. Mr. Jenkins is with a client, but I can interrupt him if it's urgent. It's urgent. 3 minutes later, the familiar voice of Mr. Jenkins filled the phone. Estella, how are you? Is everything okay? No, Mr. Jenkins, nothing is okay. I need urgent legal advice. I told him the whole story. The trip, the group chat messages, the plan to dispute the charges, everything. Mr. Jenkins listened without interrupting, making occasional sounds of disapproval. Estella, this is very serious. What your children are planning constitutes financial fraud and elder abuse. Elder abuse? Yes. Using deceit to obtain financial benefits from a senior citizen is a federal offense. Furthermore, disputing legitimate charges is bank fraud. What can I do? A few things. First, it's good that you've already contacted the bank. Second, I'm going to email you a document that I want you to sign and have notarized. It is a sworn statement that you voluntarily paid for all the trip expenses. Is there a notary at the hotel? Most large hotels have notary services for guests. Ask the manager. What else can I do? Estella, I have to ask you something important. Do you want to take legal action against your children? The question hit me like a punch to the stomach. Legal action against Rafael and Diego, the children I had raised, who I had cared for when they were sick, for whom I had sacrificed so much. I don't know, Mr. Jenkins. I just want them to stop. I understand, but I want you to know that you have options. You can sue them for fraud, you can change your will, you can take steps to protect your assets. Think about it. After hanging up with Mr. Jenkins, I sat in silence for several minutes. The sun was beginning to set, painting my room in golden colors. I could hear the happy voices of my family returning from the beach, laughing, talking about their plans for dinner. At 6:30, someone knocked on my door. It was Rafael. "Hey, Mom, how was your afternoon?" "Very productive, son." "Productive? What did you do?" "Important calls. Paperwork. Adult stuff." I saw his smile become a little forced. "Mom, speaking of paperwork, Diego and I were thinking that maybe it would be easier if we handled some of the hotel details, so you don't have to worry about anything." There it was, the first official move of their plan. "What kind of details?" "Well, the keys to the other rooms, for example, just in case there's an emergency and we need access." "What kind of emergency would require you to have access to rooms that aren't yours?" Rafael seemed taken aback by the direct question. "I don't know, Mom. We just thought it would be more practical." "Rafael," I said in the calmest voice I could muster, "I'm 65 years old, not 95. I can handle the keys to the rooms just fine." "Of course, Mom. I didn't mean you couldn't. I just thought that—" "What did you think exactly?" I watched him get nervous, searching for the right words to manipulate the situation without sounding too obvious. "Nothing, Mom. Forget it." "Are you coming to dinner?" "Of course. It's my money paying for that dinner, isn't it?" The question caught him by surprise. "Your money? Whose money else would it be, Rafael?" "No, of course, you're right. We'll split everything at the end of the trip like we talked about." "When did we talk about that exactly? Did we ever agree that this would be a shared expense?" "Mom, I don't understand why you're asking these questions." I got up and walked to the door. "Let's go to dinner, son. I'm hungry." As we walked to the elevator, I could feel his confusion. His plan required me to be predictable, manageable, to act as I always had. But I was no longer the same woman who had arrived at the hotel 2 days ago. During dinner, I watched my family with new eyes. I saw how each of them enjoyed the food I had paid for, the expensive drinks they ordered without a second thought, the multiple desserts they got on a whim. I saw how they talked about their plans for the next day as if I weren't there, as if my presence were optional. But I also saw something else. I saw Mariana watching me with worried eyes, understanding that something had changed in me. I saw my younger grandkids genuinely enjoying the trip, knowing nothing about the adults' betrayals. And I realized something important. Not everyone at that table had betrayed me. That night, after everyone had gone to their rooms, Mariana came to see me as we had agreed. "Grandma, what is going on? Dad seemed really weird during dinner." "He seemed weird because his plan isn't working out as he expected." I told her about my calls that day, about the measures I had taken to protect myself, about the meeting I had scheduled with the hotel manager in the morning. "Are you going to cancel the trip?" she asked, her eyes wide. "No, honey, I'm going to do something much better." "What?" I smiled, and for the first time in days, it was a genuine, not a forced smile. "I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve." At 5 a.m., I was already awake. Not because I had set an alarm, but because my body had developed the habit of waking up early during those months of selling pies. But this time, instead of feeling the familiar weight of exhaustion and obligation, I felt a strange sense of energy I hadn't felt in years. Today was the day everything would change. I took a shower calmly, put on my best outfit, the navy blue suit I had bought for my husband's funeral, but had never had an opportunity to wear on an important occasion, and went down to the restaurant. It was 6:30, and the place was almost empty. Perfect. I needed quiet to review my notes one more time. As I sipped my coffee and looked over the documents Mr. Jenkins had emailed me early in the morning, I saw Miguel Anderson, the hotel manager, come in. He was a man in his 40s, elegant, with that warm professionalism that characterizes people who truly understand service. "Mrs. Williams, good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Very well, thank you. Could we move our meeting up? There are a few things I would like to discuss before my family wakes up." "Of course. Would you prefer to go to my office?" "Yes, that would be perfect." His office was elegant but cozy, with a view of the hotel garden. It had diplomas on the walls, photos of special events, and a coffee pot, which he immediately offered me a cup from. "Mrs. Williams, last night I reviewed your case with my legal team. We want to make sure we completely understand the situation." "Your legal team?" "Yes. Cases like yours, while unfortunately not rare, require us to follow certain protocols to protect both the guest and the hotel." Miguel opened a folder on his desk. "Allow me to confirm. You paid for the full reservation of $4,200 with your own credit card, without coercion, as a surprise for your family. Is that correct?" "Completely correct. And you have evidence that some members of your family plan to dispute these charges fraudulently?" "Yes. My granddaughter heard my son coordinating with the bank." "I understand. I have 2 documents here that I would like you to review." The first document was an official statement from the hotel, confirming all the details of my reservation and payment. The second was more interesting, an addendum to the contract that gave me exclusive authority over any aspect of the stay. "What exactly does this mean?" I asked, pointing to the second document. "It means that you, as the person who paid and the holder of the reservation, have absolute control. You can decide who stays and who leaves. You can modify services, and you can even cancel specific rooms if you wish." I felt my heart quicken. "I can cancel specific rooms?" "Absolutely. There are 5 suites reserved under your name. You can keep all 5, or you can cancel 1, 2, 3, or even 4 of them if you wish, and the people in those rooms would have to find alternative accommodation or leave the hotel." The idea began to take shape in my mind with crystal clear clarity. "Miguel, what's the checkout time?" "Normally at 12 noon, but we can be flexible depending on the circumstances." "And if someone needs to leave before that time, is that also possible?" "Yes." "Are you considering making changes to the reservation?" I was silent for a moment, looking out the window at the gardens where the groundskeepers had already started working. It was early, but the day promised to be beautiful, sunny, and perfect for the beach, the kind of day my family had planned to enjoy entirely at my expense. "Miguel, I want to make some changes, but I need them to be executed exactly as I'm about to explain." "Of course, I'm all ears." "I want to cancel 4 of the 5 suites." Miguel raised his eyebrows slightly but maintained his professional expression. "Which ones specifically?" I took out my notebook where I had written down the room numbers. "Suites 301, 302, 304, and 305. I want to keep only 303, which is mine." "Understood. And when do you want these cancellations to be effective?" "Today, but not immediately. First, I want you to block access to those rooms at 10 a.m. Their key cards will stop working. And then at 11 a.m., I want hotel staff to go to those suites to inform the guests that they must vacate the rooms before noon due to changes in the reservation." Miguel took notes as I spoke, not judging and completely professional. "Are there any specific instructions I should give to the staff?" "Yes, they should explain that the reservation holder, which is me, decided to modify the stay, that it is not the hotel's fault, but a personal decision of the person who paid for the reservation, and if they ask where they can find me to speak with me, you can tell them that I'm available in Suite 303, but only if they come to speak civilly. If there are shouts, threats, or disrespect toward the hotel staff, you have instructions to contact security." Miguel finished writing and looked at me with a mix of admiration and curiosity. "Mrs. Williams, may I ask what led you to this decision?" "Miguel, do you have a family?" "Yes, a wife and 2 young children." "Do you love them?" "Of course." "Would you do anything for them?" "Without a doubt." And what if they betrayed you? What if you found out they were using you, that they were embarrassed by you, that they planned to scam you? Miguel was silent for a moment. I think I understand. For 40 years, I raised my children. I fed them, clothed them, and cared for them when they were sick. I worked to give them an education. I sacrificed my dreams for theirs. And now, when I thought we could finally enjoy some time together as a family, I discover that they see me as a useful nuisance for paying bills. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Williams. Don't apologize, Miguel. This isn't sadness. This is liberation. I signed all the necessary documents, including the sworn statement that Mr. Jenkins had prepared. Miguel called a notary from the hotel who arrived in 10 minutes to make everything official. One last thing, I said to Miguel when we finished. Could you please have a cab ready for 12:30? For how many people? Just for two, my granddaughter, Mariana, and me. Are you going to the airport? No, we're going to another hotel, one where we can truly enjoy a vacation. Miguel smiled for the first time during our meeting. It will be my pleasure to help you with that too. When I returned to my room, it was 8:30. My family was surely awake, planning another perfect day without including me, but this time, things would be different. I sat on the balcony with a cup of fresh coffee that I had ordered from room service and waited. At 9 o'clock, I would receive the first message from Mariana with the conversations from the secret group chat. At 10 o'clock, their keycards would stop working. At 11 o'clock, the hotel staff would knock on their doors, and for the first time in my life, I would be in complete control. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Raphael. Mom, we're going to breakfast. Are you coming? I replied, No thanks, I have other plans for today. What plans? You'll see, son. You'll see. I looked at my watch. It was 9:55. In 5 minutes, the countdown would begin. The moment my family would discover they had seriously underestimated the woman who had given them life. And honestly, I couldn't wait to see their faces. At exactly 10 o'clock, my phone vibrated with the first message from Mariana. It was a screenshot of the secret group chat sent just a few minutes earlier. Perfect plan for today. Beach all morning, spa in the afternoon. The old lady will surely stay in her room like yesterday. Great. After lunch, we'll talk to reception to get control of the other rooms. Did you confirm with the bank, Diego? Yes. The dispute process should be ready this afternoon. By tomorrow, we won't have to worry about the expenses anymore. Each message was another confirmation that I had made the right decision. There was no doubt, no guilt, no room for regret. They had chosen this path. At 10:30, another message from Mariana. Grandma, they're all at the pool. Dad just said that after lunch, he's going to reception to sort out the rooms. I also heard Aunt Monica say that today is the last day they have to pretend everything is fine. The last day they had to pretend, as if being with me was an unbearable performance that was finally coming to an end. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat comfortably in the armchair by the balcony. From there, I could see the pool where my family was enjoying themselves. Raphael and Diego were in the water with some of the grandkids. Monica and Anna were having cocktails under an umbrella, all laughing, relaxed, happy, making the most of the vacation I had paid for, while they planned to betray me. At 10:55, my phone rang. It was Miguel. Mrs. Williams, the system is ready. In 2 minutes, the key cards for suites 301, 302, 304, and 305 will be deactivated. Perfect, Miguel. Is your staff ready for what's to come? Completely. We have the security team on standby, and we've already briefed the housekeepers on how to handle the situation with diplomacy, but firmness. Excellent. I'll see you in 1 hour. I looked at my watch. 9:58, 9:59, 10 o'clock. At that very moment, my family's key cards had just become useless pieces of plastic. They wouldn't be able to get into their rooms, access their belongings, or change their clothes, or take a shower after the pool. I waited. It didn't take long. At 10:07, I saw Anna get up from her chair by the pool and walk toward the elevators. She was probably going to get something from her room. At 10:11, my phone vibrated with an urgent message from Mariana. "Grandma, Mom is yelling at reception. She says her keycard isn't working." 3 minutes later, another message. "Now they're all there. Dad is very upset. The receptionist is explaining something to them, but I can't hear well from here." At 10:20, Raphael called me. His voice was tense, controlled, but I could hear the panic underneath. "Mom, there's a problem with the rooms. The keycards aren't working. Could you come down to reception to help us fix it?" "What kind of problem?" "We don't know. The receptionist says there's a change in the reservation, but that's impossible because no one has changed anything." "How strange," I replied with the most innocent voice I could muster. "Are you sure you haven't changed anything?" "Of course not, Mom. Could you come? We need to sort this out quickly because the kids want to go back to the rooms." "I'm a little busy right now, son, but don't worry. I'm sure it will be sorted out soon." "Busy with what?" "Important things." I hung up before he could respond. At 10:45, Mariana sent me another message. "Grandma, the hotel manager is talking to Dad and Uncle Raphael. They look very worried. Aunt Monica is arguing with a receptionist." At 10:58, my phone rang again. This time, it was Diego. "Mom, we need you to come to reception now. There's a very serious misunderstanding, and only you can fix it." "What kind of misunderstanding?" "The hotel says you canceled our rooms. That's ridiculous, right? Tell them it's a mistake." "Why would it be ridiculous, Diego?" "What do you mean, why? Because there's no reason for you to cancel our rooms." "There isn't?" There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Mom, what's going on?" "I'm sure Miguel explained it to you very well." "Miguel? You know the manager?" "Of course. We had a very productive meeting this morning." Another silence. When Diego spoke again, his voice had changed completely. "Mom, you canceled our rooms." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I can." And I hung up. At exactly 11 o'clock from my balcony, I saw the hotel staff walking toward the pool area. There were 3 of them: Miguel, a woman who seemed to be from guest services, and a security guard in plain clothes. I saw them approach my family, how Miguel spoke with Raphael while pointing toward the hotel. I saw the expressions of shock, confusion, and then anger on my children's and daughters-in-law's faces. I saw how the grandkids, not understanding what was happening, went up to their parents looking for explanations. At 11:05, someone knocked on my door forcefully. It wasn't the polite knock of a social visit. It was hard, urgent, desperate knocking. I opened the door, and there they were, all 4 of them, Raphael, Diego, Monica, and Anna. Their faces were a collage of emotions: fury, confusion, panic, disbelief. Behind them in the hallway, I could see some of my grandkids waiting with their beach bags in their hands. "Can you tell me what the hell is going on?" Monica yelled before I could say a word. "Good morning to you too," I replied calmly, stepping aside so they could come in. "Don't give me that attitude, Estella," Monica continued. "The hotel says you canceled our rooms. It's ridiculous." "Why is it ridiculous?" "Because we're your family." "That's what I thought." Raphael stepped forward, trying to use his most conciliatory voice. "Mom, there's clearly a misunderstanding. Let's go down to reception and clear all of this up." "There is no misunderstanding, Raphael. I canceled your rooms because you are no longer welcome on my trip." "Your trip?" Anna looked genuinely confused. "I thought it was a family trip." "I thought so too, until I discovered that you don't consider me family." Diego frowned. "What are you talking about?" I took out my phone and showed them the screenshots of the secret group chat that Mariana had sent me. I watched their faces fall as they read their own messages. "This," Raphael tried to find the words. "This isn't what it looks like." "It's not?" "Then explain to me what free vacation with no family drama means, Raphael." The silence in the room was deafening. The 4 of them looked at each other, searching for an explanation, an excuse, a way out of the hole they had dug for themselves. "Mom," Diego finally spoke, I understand you're upset, but you can't leave us without rooms. We have small children." "The same children you were going to keep away from me by hiring a nanny?" "That was... And what about the bank, Diego? Have you already started the dispute of the charges?" Diego's face went completely pale. How do you know?" "I know everything. I know about the group chat. I know about your plans to take control of the reservation away from me. I know about the fraudulent dispute you were planning to make with the bank. I know everything." Monica slumped into the armchair, covering her face with her hands. Anna looked as if she was going to be sick. Rafael and Diego stood in the middle of the room like children who had been caught stealing candy. "So," I said in a voice that sounded strangely calm, even to me, "here are your options. You can take your things, which the hotel staff has already so kindly packed. You can call a taxi, and you can go find another hotel where you can pay for your own vacation." "Or what?" Rafael asked in a trembling voice. "Oh, nothing. That's your only option." "You can't do this," Monica yelled, getting up from the armchair. "We're your family. You can't abandon us." I looked directly into the eyes of the woman who for years had tolerated my advice with fake smiles, who had talked behind my back, who had turned my son against me. "Monica," I said with a calm that surprised me, "who abandoned whom first?" And in that moment, I saw in her eyes that she knew exactly what I was talking about. The war had ended before they even knew it had begun. The silence that followed my question was devastating. I could hear the air conditioner running, the distant voices of other guests in the hallway, the gentle sound of the waves reaching the beach. But in my room, the silence was so dense it seemed to have its own weight. Rafael was the first to try to recover. "Mom, this is crazy. You can't be serious." "Do I look like I'm joking?" But the kids, what are the grandkids going to think?" For the first time since this confrontation began, I felt a pang in my chest. My grandkids, the only innocents in this whole betrayal. The grandkids are going to think that their parents made very poor decisions, and now they have to face the consequences. "You're destroying this family," Anna cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, Anna, this family destroyed itself when you decided that I was an obstacle instead of a valuable member." Diego came toward me with his hands out in a pleading gesture. "Mom, please. I know we made mistakes, but we can fix it. We can talk now." "You want to talk after months of planning this deception?" "It wasn't months," Rafael murmured. "No? The group chat was created the same day you invited me on the trip, Rafael. The same day." I watched him collapse internally. There was no way to deny the evidence anymore. "Okay," Monica said, standing up with an expression of fury she no longer tried to hide. "You want to be the martyr? You want to have your dramatic moment? Fine, but don't expect us to come running back when you feel lonely again." Her words were designed to hurt me, to make me reconsider, to trigger that part of me that had always been afraid of being alone. "Monica," I said, walking to the door and opening it, "I would rather be alone than be accompanied by people who despise me." "We don't despise you," Diego exclaimed. "No? Then explain to me what getting rid of the burden and the last day we have to pretend everything is fine means." Diego opened his mouth to reply, but no sound came out. At that moment, Mariana appeared in the doorway. She had been waiting in the hallway with the other grandkids, but she looked clearly distressed. "What's going on?" she asked in a small voice. "The kids don't understand why we have to leave." My heart broke a little more. This girl, my granddaughter, who had shown me the messages, who had been my ally in this discovery, now she would have to leave too. "Mariana," I said softly, "come here." She came closer, and I took her hands. "Honey, your parents and I have very serious differences. They are going to have to leave the hotel." "But why, Grandma?" I looked at Diego, her father, wondering if he would finally have the courage to tell his own daughter the truth. "Why?" Diego said in a broken voice. "Dad made some very big mistakes." Mariana looked at her father. Then she looked at me, and in her eyes, I saw a comprehension that went beyond her 17 years. Does it have to do with the group chat? Everyone froze. Anna turned to her daughter with a panicked expression. What do you know about that? I know everything, Mom. I know what you've been saying about Grandma. I know you never wanted her to come on the trip. I know you only used her so she would pay for everything. The silence that followed was different. It was no longer tense with denial. It was heavy with the shame of recognition. Mariana, Anna tried to explain, things aren't as simple as— Yes, they are. Mariana pulled her hands from mine and turned to her parents. So it's not true that you created a group chat without Grandma to make fun of her? It's not true that you planned to dispute the bank charges so you wouldn't have to pay for anything? It's not true that you hired a nanny so we wouldn't have to spend time with her? Each question was like a slap in the face. I watched my children and daughters-in-law physically shrink under the weight of the words from a teenager who had seen right through their lies. You hurt the only person who has always been there for us, Mariana continued, with tears in her eyes but a firm voice. Grandma sold her wedding ring to pay for this trip. Did you know that? She sold Grandpa's ring? Raphael slumped into a chair as if his legs could no longer support him. You sold your ring? Diego looked sick. We didn't know, Raphael said, because you never asked. You assumed I had infinite money for your whims. Monica, who had been quiet during Mariana's speech, finally spoke. Fine, we'll leave, but this isn't over. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You can't treat your family like this and expect there to be no consequences. Monica, I said, walking toward her until we were face to face. I didn't treat my family badly. My family treated me badly. What's happening now are the consequences of your actions, not mine. Raphael got up from the chair. Mom, please, can we fix this? Can you? Can you what, Raphael? Erase the messages you wrote? Cancel the fraudulent dispute you started? Give back the respect you took from me? We can apologize. Are you apologizing because you got caught, or are you actually sorry? Raphael couldn't answer. Exactly. At that moment, Miguel gently knocked on the open door. Excuse the interruption, Mrs. Williams. The taxi is ready for the family. He looked toward my children. Your belongings are in the lobby. The hotel can help you find alternative accommodation if you need it. Thank you, Miguel. Taxi? Anna asked. Are you leaving too? Yes. Mariana and I are going to another hotel where we can truly enjoy the vacation I deserve. Mariana is going with you? Diego looked genuinely surprised. I looked at my granddaughter, who nodded firmly. Mariana is the only person in this family who treated me with respect and honesty. She's the only one who deserves to share this vacation with me. You can't take our daughter? Anna yelled. I'm not taking her. She's choosing to come with me. Mariana. Diego spoke directly to his daughter. You can't do this. We're your family. Dad. Mariana looked at him with an expression that mixed love and disappointment. Grandma is also our family, and you betrayed her. I can't be a part of that. It's only for a few days, I added. After that, she can decide if she wants to go back with you or not. This is kidnapping, Monica muttered. No, I said firmly. This is justice. Raphael came up to me one last time. Mom, if we leave like this, things will never be the same between us. Raphael, I placed my hand on his shoulder, and for a moment I saw the little boy he had been before he became the man who had chosen to betray me. Things were already never the same. You made sure of that. I picked up my suitcase, which I had packed that morning after my meeting with Miguel. Mariana already had hers ready. Where are you going? Diego asked in a defeated voice. To a place where I can be a grandmother without having to apologize for existing. We walked toward the door. In the hallway, the other grandkids were waiting, confused and sad, not fully understanding what was happening, but knowing that something important had been broken. I knelt in front of them. I love you all very much, I said, and this isn't your fault. Someday when you're older, you'll understand why Grandma had to do this. Thomas, the little 8-year-old, hugged me tightly. We're not going to build sandcastles anymore? Someday we'll build the most beautiful sandcastles in the world, I promised him, when your parents remember how to treat the people they love. Mariana and I walked to the elevator. As the doors closed, I could see my family in the hallway, my sons defeated, my daughters-in-law furious, my grandkids confused. In the lobby, Miguel was waiting with our taxi. Mrs. Williams, he said as the driver loaded our suitcases, it has been an honor to meet you. What you did today took a lot of courage. It wasn't courage, Miguel. It was survival. As the taxi drove away from the hotel, I looked out the back window. I could see my family at the entrance with their suitcases, probably calling other hotels, looking for a place to stay. Do you regret it, Grandma? Mariana asked me. I thought about the question as we watched the landscape go by. I thought about 40 years of motherhood, about sacrifices that were never acknowledged, about the love I had given without expecting anything in return, but that, in the end, had expected at least basic respect. No, I finally replied. I regret that it took me so long to value myself. The taxi was heading toward a small boutique hotel on the coast where I had made a reservation that morning, a place where a grandmother and her granddaughter could build sandcastles, enjoy quiet dinners, and remember what it meant to be a real family. For the first time in years, I felt free, and for the first time in my life, I had put my own needs first. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time, but mostly, it just felt right. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.